Hey guys, we are here for a new Marvel Legends exclusive review. We have got the latest in the Fantastic Four line from the Walgreens exclusive sets. Mr. Fantastic himself, Reed Richards. So he comes in the standard Marvel Legends style box. He's got that lovely Walgreens exclusive sticker on there. We've got the Fantastic Four logo in the back of the bubble there. And then we've got a product shot on the back and a tiny little write-up. So yeah, let's pull them out and take a look. Alright guys, so here is Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, out of the packaging. And I gotta say, I have been a little more excited about this figure than I really expected to be. He's not exactly one of my favorite Marvel characters, but I do have a fondness for the Fantastic Four in general. And something about this release just really got me excited. And I think that they pulled it off pretty well, actually. So at his bare minimum, he's not the most dynamic Marvel Legends figure, obviously. He's known for his intellect and his stretching ability. So as far as the base figure goes, he's kind of just a dude, really. So we've got a rather generic Marvel Legends body. I'm not entirely sure 100%, I say this pretty much every time, what the upper body is. It's kind of a standard buck. The lower body is very, very similar, if not exactly the same thing as the Doctor Strange Dormammu Wave Iron Fist. At least I can tell the bare minimum based on the feet. They're the same feet. So I believe they're the same legs as well. But the upper body is, I think, pretty well suited for Reed here. He's not a big guy. He's not incredibly buff, but he is very well toned, and I think this is a pretty solid body. The head on this figure, I think, is pretty exceptionally executed. It's very nice. It looks very much like a comic style Reed Richards. We've got that nice brown hair with the gray streaks on the sides. He's got this kind of smirk going, a holier than thou type look almost. And I just dig the aesthetic of this figure. The coloration on the suit is really nice. The 4 logo is pretty well centered. It's not 100%. It looks like the inner circle is a little kind of wonky a little bit. I'm not too sure. It's kind of hard to judge, but it looks pretty good and far enough away. I don't think anybody would really notice if it was weird or not. So that said, there's not tons and tons of paint on this guy. He's mostly cast in the blue, and then we've got some black paint, obviously, and we do have face paint. We've got the eyebrows, the eyes. We've got that aforementioned gray, and I just think he looks really good. Like this, if this was the only part of the figure we had, I wouldn't be entirely upset. Now, it doesn't entirely sell the abilities of the figure, but from a super scientist, leader of the Fantastic Four, this is a pretty good look. I'm digging this overall look here. So far, I would have to say that this is my favorite Fantastic Four figure that we've gotten. Now, we know, as of Toy Fair 2018, that we are confirmed to be getting the Thing that has been rumored, so that may change. But I really, really dig this. I think it looks very much like a comic-style Reed Richards. It just looks good. Now, let's run through Articulation real quick. He's obviously just a standard character. He doesn't have anything special, but let's just do it anyway. So, head can go up and down, side to side. Arm can go all the way out, rotate all the way around, bicep swivel, double joint at the elbow, and then we've got hinged wrists. He's got a crunch, so he can go backwards, forwards, waist twist. Legs can go out about that far, so not too crazy, but not terrible. Almost 90. That's not exactly 90 degrees. And then not much on the back kick. Thigh cut, double jointed knee, all the way up. And then we've got hinged and rocker ankles. So, nothing too crazy, but like I said, it's exactly what you'd expect from kind of a standard Legends, nothing more, nothing less. Now, the big thing, definitely the big thing for this figure is accessories, and he comes with 3. He's got 1 in his hand, so we'll go over that real quick. This is the Ultimate Nullifier. It's just a little piece of gray plastic, but it's very much a very, very Fantastic Four accessory. This is very much something that you would see in their comics. I think it was first introduced in a Fantastic Four comic, way back when. But it's just a piece of gray plastic. It's got a little sculpted detail on it. It very much looks like what it's supposed to look like, though. So in terms of getting that comic accuracy, I think they got it pretty well. He can hold it in his right hand because the left is a closed fist. But there's not a whole lot to talk about there. It is just a small, almost disc-like piece of plastic. So let's talk about what everybody's really here for, the arms. Okay, so this is the big, literally, the big thing about this figure is obviously the extra arms. So we've got the Ultimate Nullifier is his one true accessory, but the real accessories are these swappable arms. And I've already said that this is my favorite Fantastic Four figure so far. These are kind of an annoyance. Even though I like this figure so much, they are kind of an annoyance. So they just pop in and pop out. Here is, here's the previous arm. It's just a peg. It just pops in, pops out. No real work or hassle there. They can move out, and then they can rotate. So the joints are at the shoulder. There is no articulation in the arm. It is a bendy material in there, and there really seems to be a choke point here that this piece right here, where I'm touching right here, is where you should do most of your bending. It is thinnest here. It gets thicker at the bicep, thicker at the top of the forearm, and then it thins out at the wrist. And it does seem to be very, very rigid. That might change as you play around with it. So I can't really give you an interpretation of what it's like to play around over and over with this just yet. Not too sure. I do have some other folks who have mentioned that they've seen the same thing where it's kind of rigid, but they didn't come out of the box like this. I have been able to move them around and get them into certain poses, and you just got to play with them. That's really all it is. You got to play with them, and he can get his arms moved all the way around, and they are quite large. I mean, that's how long they are. They're quite decent in length, and I think you can probably see from here that it kind of bows in and then it bows out, and then it will get a little smaller at the wrist, obviously. So you just have to play around with them to get them how you want them to sit, and maybe figure out where the kind of wiggle room is with bending these arms. Now, in addition, and I don't think anybody's going to expect this to be a weird or odd thing, they obviously introduce some balance issues because they do have a little weight to them. So you are going to have to play with the figure to get him posed in the way you want him, while also taking into consideration these arms, because obviously there's a lot of weight in front of him now, especially if you've got him doing something like this. So you might want to toggle him a bit. This one's a little further back, this one's further forward. That way you can kind of find a little bit of a center of gravity on him, just so he doesn't come crashing down. But right now, the way I've got him posed like this, it's not exactly a pose I want to stick with, but he's standing just fine. I have no issues with him being stable here, but obviously the first time I started playing around with him, he immediately fell over because I just wasn't used to where the weight was going to sit. That said, once you do find that sweet spot, he looks like he's going to stay up just fine. So I am 100% on board with these arms. I just think that right out of the box, you are going to have to work with them a little bit more than you might have expected, but they do look pretty cool once you actually have them on the figure. So overall, I mean, I've already said that he's my favorite Fantastic Four figure so far. I do really like this. The arms are just a slight annoyance, and that's really all they are, is a slight annoyance. They do work, they do look cool, but you just have to play with them, and that's not something that I wasn't expecting. So I can't really hold it against the figure. They kind of gave us a substantial amount of plastic for some accessories for this guy. So I'm very, very happy with the fact that they did include them, that they included both and not just one. So I really don't have any issues with this figure at all. I think he looks like a really good interpretation of a nice comic Reed Richards. So that is going to do it for this look at the Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends Mr. Fantastic / Reed Richards, whatever you want to call him, action figure from Hasbro. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time, guys.